After 60, even yesterday's leftovers can quietly steal your memory or fuel hidden cancer. It's not the fast food or greasy takeout. It's the home-cooked rice, spinach, or chicken you warm up again. I've seen patients who thought reheating was safe until cramps, brain fog, or inflammation told a different story. Stay with me, because food number 3 is on almost every senior's plate, and it may explain that sudden joint pain you've been blaming on age. Most of us reheat food without a second thought, but after 60, the body changes. Digestion slows, stomach acid weakens, and the immune soldiers grow fewer. What once felt safe can now quietly feed inflammation, raise cancer risk, or cloud your memory. I've seen how a simple leftover meal can tip the balance between a calm evening and a trip to the ER. The good news? With just a few shifts, you can still enjoy your favorite foods without the hidden risks. Today I'll walk you through 5 everyday foods and how to keep them healing instead of harmful. 1. Rice. Hidden bacteria that survive. Heat Ellen, 72, used to love making big pots of rice for her family. The next day she'd scoop some into a bowl, warm it up, and enjoy it with stir-fry. But soon she noticed something troubling: stomach cramps that came out of nowhere, sometimes so severe she ended up in urgent care. At first, she thought it was just age catching up, but the truth was far smaller, hidden inside each grain of rice. Here's the science. Rice is one of the few foods that can harbor a stubborn bacteria called Bacillus cereus. Unlike most bacteria, its spores survive boiling water and even steaming. When rice cools slowly, especially if it sits out on the counter, those spores wake up and multiply, releasing toxins that don't vanish, even when you reheat. Think of it like tiny time bombs hidden in your food. You can't see them, smell them, or taste them until they go off inside your gut. A 2022 study in the SciELO journal tested 40 supermarket rice samples. Shockingly, half contained spores that survived cooking, and when left at room temperature for just 12 hours, bacterial counts grew to dangerous levels. For seniors, this isn't just food poisoning. It's a serious threat. With weaker stomach acid and a slower immune response, seniors face 2 to 3 times higher complication risks compared to younger adults. So, what can you do? Cook only what you'll eat. If you make extra, cool it within 1 hour, store it in the fridge below 40 degrees Fahrenheit, and only reheat it once. Or, even better, use cold rice the next day for salads instead of reheating. Pause for a moment. Have you ever felt worse after eating something you thought was safe? You're not alone, and rice is only the beginning. 2. Spinach, nitrate. Turning into carcinogens. Frank, 68, loved his garden spinach. He'd toss it into soups, saute it with garlic, or reheat leftovers the next day. But after meals, he noticed something puzzling: acid reflux that felt sharper, and a nagging heaviness in his chest. His doctor explained, the problem wasn't spinach itself. It was what happened after it was cooked, cooled, and reheated. Here's the biology. Spinach is naturally rich in nitrates, which normally support healthy blood flow. But after 60, the stomach produces less acid, sometimes 50% less by age 70. That drop creates an alkaline environment where nitrates transform into nitrosamines, compounds directly linked to cancer risk. In other words, your stomach acid is like a bodyguard. When it's strong, nitrates stay helpful. But when the guard steps aside with age, they can quietly turn into villains. A 2021 analysis in the PMC journal reviewed nitrosamine contamination, including NDMA. The data was sobering. Exposure could add 40 to 126 cancer cases per 100,000 people over 6 years. And seniors are more vulnerable because inflamed tissues and weaker detox systems can't neutralize these compounds effectively. So, what's the safer path? Keep spinach fresh, Steam it lightly, eat it immediately, and avoid reheating soups or casseroles with spinach the next day. If you store it, try enjoying it cold, like in a salad with olive oil and lemon, rather than warming it again. Here's where it gets interesting. What starts as a nutrient-packed leaf can, after reheating, behave more like a chemical trap. That flip in the body is something most people never see coming. Let me ask you, have you ever felt worse after eating something you thought was healthy? Share below. I read every comment, and your story might help another senior. 3. Chicken protein turns into inflammatory. Ages. Rosa, 70, had a simple routine. She'd roast a big chicken on Sunday, portion it out, and reheat pieces through the week. It felt thrifty, easy, and safe. But over time, she noticed something troubling. Her knees ached more, her fingers stiffened, and her energy faded after meals. She thought it was just arthritis creeping in. But the real culprit was sitting in her fridge. Here's what most people don't realize. Reheating chicken repeatedly doesn't just dry it out. It reshapes the proteins inside, creating compounds called advanced glycation end products, or AGEs. Think of AGEs like burnt sugar that hardens and sticks to your body's tissues. They latch onto joints, blood vessels, and even brain cells, sparking inflammation with every bite. A 2014 review in Nutrition Reviews studied the link between dietary ages and inflammation. Seniors showed TNF-alpha levels, a marker of inflammation, nearly 3 times higher than younger adults when exposed to AGEs. And those chronic levels of inflammation, they have been tied not just to arthritis, but also to heart disease and memory decline. Here's why it matters more after 60. Your enzymes for protein breakdown slow down. That means these toxic protein fragments linger longer, giving them more time to trigger inflammatory pathways. And when you reheat chicken again and again, you're multiplying the effect. So, what can you do? Cook smaller portions of chicken and eat them fresh. If you have leftovers, slice them cold into salads or sandwiches instead of reheating. You still get the protein your muscles need, without feeding the fire of inflammation. Miss this next step, and you may undo the progress you just made with safer greens. Because the next food on the list doesn't just affect your joints, it may quietly alter your brain. 4. Potatoes, resistant starch and acrylamide formation. James, 74, grew up believing potatoes were the safest, most filling food on the table. Mashed, roasted, fried. He loved them all. But as he got older, he noticed something unsettling. After reheated fries or baked potatoes, his thinking felt foggier. He misplaced keys more often, lost his train of thought mid-sentence. His doctor asked about diet and pointed to something James never suspected. Here's the science. When potatoes are cooled and then reheated, 2 things happen. First, their starch changes form, turning into something called resistant starch, which the aging gut struggles to digest. That means more bloating, slower energy, and stress on your digestion. Second, and more concerning, reheating at high heat, like frying or roasting again, produces acrylamide. This compound is so concerning that the World Health Organization classified it as a probable human carcinogen. Long-term studies show acrylamide exposure is linked not only to higher cancer risk, but also to nerve damage and dementia. It's like invisible smoke settling into your nervous system, silent, odorless, but harmful over time. Why does this matter more after 60? Because your natural detox systems, especially the liver's cytochrome enzymes, slow down. That means harmful compounds stick around longer, raising the risk of chronic inflammation and cognitive decline. So, what's the safer way? If you store potatoes, use them cold, like a simple potato salad with olive oil and parsley. Or bake them fresh, enjoy them warm, and avoid reheating fries or roasted leftovers. This way, you still get potassium for muscles and fiber for digestion, without the hidden risks. But what most people miss is what comes next. Because the next food doesn't just affect your stomach or brain, it can quietly disrupt the very enzymes your body depends on for protection. 5. Mushrooms, slow protein, breakdown in aging enzymes. Helen, 76, always thought mushrooms were a gentle healing food. She'd saute them with onions, stir them into pasta, or reheat last night's leftovers for a quick lunch. But lately, something didn't feel right. After eating reheated mushrooms, she felt bloated, heavy, and sometimes even dizzy. It was confusing. How could something so light make her feel so weighed down? Here's the biology. Mushrooms are rich in unique proteins and amino acids. When you're young, your stomach enzyme pepsin breaks these down efficiently. But after age 70, studies show pepsin production can drop by nearly 75%. That means when you reheat mushrooms, their proteins are harder to digest. And instead of breaking down cleanly, they ferment in the gut. Fermentation releases gases and toxic byproducts that irritate the stomach lining and can leak into the bloodstream. A 2022 review in Frontiers in Immunology showed that aging impairs the gut barrier, making seniors more vulnerable to these toxins. So, what once passed unnoticed in your 40s or 50s may now feel like a heavy weight in your 70s. Picture damp wood left in a corner. The first day it seems fine, but with each reheating cycle, like with mushrooms, the breakdown accelerates, and suddenly it starts to mold. That's what happens inside your digestive tract when enzymes can't keep up. So how can you enjoy mushrooms safely? Eat them freshly cooked. If you must store them, skip reheating. Slice them cold into a salad or add to a sandwich. You'll still get their antioxidants and fiber, but without overloading your gut. And this is when your body starts saying yes again. Yes to comfort. Yes to calm digestion. Yes to balance. Pause for a second. Do you notice your stomach reacting differently to leftovers now than it did 20 years ago? It's not just in your head. It's your enzymes speaking. So, what's the bigger lesson here? It's not about fearing your food. It's about understanding how your body changes with age and how small shifts can protect your independence. Ellen discovered that cooling rice quickly kept her stomach calm. Frank realized spinach is best eaten fresh, not reheated. Rosa found relief in enjoying chicken cold instead of microwaved. James kept his memory clearer by swapping fried leftovers for potato salad. And Helen, she now enjoys mushrooms freshly cooked without the bloat. The foods we love don't have to harm us. Handled with care, they can nourish us for years to come. And here's the legacy echo. Protecting your brain and digestion today means more dinners shared, more stories remembered, and less fear of becoming a burden tomorrow. Before you go, let me ask, which one of these foods surprised you most? Type it below. Your story might help another senior who's struggling with the same thing. And if you found this helpful, consider subscribing to Healthy Aging Hub, where every tip is grounded in research and compassion. Remember, your healthcare provider knows your personal history best, so always check before making changes. Because aging well isn't about restriction. It's about renewal, wisdom, and learning how to stay strong, one meal at a time.